Is
All right, we're going to call this committee of the meeting hold to order. Sorry for the delay. Finance and personnel went a little over, so thank you all for being here. Today we're conducting our public hearing on the budget. As we will go through this, obviously we're not meeting in person for the most part, so that means folks can't be here physically, but we did ask people to either call in or ask to be called in and or submit written comments. So how we will conduct this is that the clerk will read the written comments that were submitted. On behalf of the commenters, I will direct questions, if there are any in them, to the respective department heads and ask follow-up questions myself until the question has been satisfactorily answered. So with that, we will proceed with the public hearing for the 2021 budget conducted by the City of Racine Committee of the Whole. Clerk, would you please proceed with reading the public input?
Sure. The first one is from Richard LaHoo at 1110 Orchard Street. His comment was solely fund the police and fire departments for all our benefit. The next one is from Ernest Naya. As a member, his address, 403 North Memorial Drive. As a member of the Racine Police Reform Task Force, I and the entire team learned a lot regarding public safety and what some areas of opportunity that can enhance public and community relationships. I want to first say that I do not want to defund the police department or take any money away as a matter of punishment, as the word defunding implies. However, researching and speaking with other municipalities, we learn effective ways in which funding can be shifted or reallocated for effective and positive public safety. One of the first is Police and Fire Commission. Per Wisconsin state statute, the PFC has the responsibility to review and oversee the citizens' concerns. By doing this, it creates an atmosphere of collaboration and accountability to the community. This has not been done in the past. Therefore, I support the $60,000 allocation to the Human Resource Department and the independent operation of the Police and Fire Commission in order to carry out its function and create a citizen oversight committee as a public liaison. This allocation minimally coincides with cities and municipalities of our size. Again, this is not to punish or take away any funds from the police department, rather to be proactive in preventing a Minneapolis, Louisville, Ferguson, or Kenosha. In summary, I want to share that I believe the Racine Police Department is doing an acceptable job and that most police officers are honest, hardworking, and caring law enforcers. But as in every profession, including mine as clergy, you occasionally get a bad apple that with proper administration, disciplinary actions, and training, we can produce a better force and a better community. I would be happy to meet with the Budget Committee to share our findings and justify my budget request.
All right, thank you. Let's pause real quick. Alder Lemke, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, will we get a written copy of this testimony?
That can be all emailed out if you'd like.
Okay,
sure.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you, Alder Lemke. All right, we'll proceed. I didn't hear any questions in that one, so we will proceed to the next public hearing comment.
Sure. The next is from Joshua White, 10th Street in Pearl in Racine, Wisconsin. What if my fire happened after January 1st, 2020? On November 14th, 2019 at 3:30 a.m., I was consumed in flames in a house fire at 10th Street in Pearl in Racine, Wisconsin. The fire department responded immediately. There was no time to wait on Flight for Life. The rescue squad had to drive me to the burn center in Milwaukee. While tending to my lifeless body, I'm sure that all hands were on deck. I am supportive and thankful for all my/our heroes who put their lives on the line every day duty calls, whether it's a car accident or my fire.
Thank you.
Is that all four? That's all four?
Chief Hanson here? Yes. Right. Chief Hanson, I did hear a question in terms of that individual was asking specifically about response times with this proposed budget. Now, in the last meeting we had, it was mentioned that there would be no changes to the actual staffing on the fire trucks. Is that correct?
There's no change on the fire trucks. That is correct. The change is on the rescue squads, which are actually part of our firefighting force as well.
Right.
And they would be going from a 3-person unit to a 2-person unit.
Right. And can you just reiterate what you mentioned as far as how that might look differently going forward, at least in implementation?
In terms of implementation,
make sure you're being heard.
Okay. So in terms of implementation, and let me use an example that we had today. We had a structure fire today where 3 individuals were burned and had to be transported to the hospital. It's going to take more resources, on-duty resources, to address that with a 2-person ambulance and with a 3-person ambulance. These burn victims, and having been a paramedic for a number of years, I've witnessed this myself. It takes a lot of resources to deal with burn victims. In terms of fire responses, and that's I think what we're talking about specifically here, we will have to send 2 ambulances to every fire call in order to have enough people there that if we get a burn victim or multiple burn victims, we can start that treatment initially while we get them to the hospital. And that's also to make sure that we don't pull resources away from the firefighting operation as well. You know, you have people that are inside the house that are working on the house fire itself, and you start pulling those people back to go on the rescue squad. Now we may potentially have a bigger problem with the structure fire at hand.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. All right, we can proceed with the next comment.
So the next and final comment is from Rogue Boguson. Hello, my name is Rogue Boguson at 2410 North Wisconsin Street. I would like to submit the following comments for the public hearing on the proposed 2021 Racine City budget. Compared to the 2020 Racine City budget that was adopted in November of last year, it appears the 2021 budget would increase the total spending by $12.8 million from $214.7 million to $227.5 million. The proposed city budget would raise the overall city property tax levy by 6.2% from $53.8 million to $57.2 million. It has been reported that the city property tax value would slightly decrease by 4 cents from $14.93 to $14.89 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. However, according to a new report from the Wisconsin Policy Forum titled Municipality Data Tool Examining and Comparing Wisconsin Cities and Villages, among the 600 cities and villages in Wisconsin, the City of Racine municipal property tax rate is the 3rd highest in the entire state. In other words, 597 of 600 cities and villages in Wisconsin have lower municipal property tax rates than Racine. According to the report, the Racine municipal property tax is more than double the statewide average municipal property tax for cities and villages in Wisconsin. The report also shows that the City of Racine municipal property tax is 40% higher than the municipal property tax rate in Kenosha, and more than double the municipal property tax rates in Oak Creek, Mount Pleasant, Caledonia, Summers, and Sturtevant. In addition to the proposed tax levy increase, the proposed budget includes a $700,000 overall increase in the city's stormwater fee. As a result of this proposed 7% fee increase, it appears that the amount that a typical homeowner pays annually would raise from $131.19 to $139.81. This would be on top of the 7% city stormwater fee increase last year. The proposed budget would also raise the sanitary sewer lateral fee from $63 to $75 per year, which would increase the total amount of sewer lateral fees collected by $350,000 annually. In addition to the proposed budget, the recycling fee from $57.39 to $63.03 per unit, which would increase the total amount of recycling fees collected by $250,000 annually. This would be on top of the 99% increase in the city recycling fee last year, when it nearly doubled from $28.59 in 2019. According to the latest figures from the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, the City of Racine has the 2nd highest municipal unemployment rate in the state, and there are limits to what people can afford. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the City of Racine has suffered a net population loss of 2,100 people since the 2010 census, while the population of the rest of Racine County has grown by 3,003. It appears the combination of super high property taxes and large annual fee increases is causing a major loss of population in our city. In a free country, people can vote with their feet when deciding where to live, where to raise families, where to work, and where to locate their businesses. Yet, despite raising the city property tax levy by $3.4 million, plus raising affirmation city fees by an additional $1.3 million, the proposed city budget would cut 12 positions from the Racine Police Department, including 10 officers, 1 investigator, and 1 lieutenant, while adding 1 traffic investigator, for a net reduction of 12 positions in the department. In light of all these facts, the following questions arise. Can Racine truly be a city of choice for prospective home buyers and businesses if Racine continues to have a higher municipal property tax rate than 99% of other cities and villages in Wisconsin, and Racine continues to enact large fee increases year after year on top of such high property taxes? In a city budget that would raise both the city property tax lever and overall city spending by millions of dollars at a time when there are news reports of rising crime all over the country, is it wise and appropriate to cut so many positions from our police department? Thank you for your time and for your serious considerations of these concerns.
The one question I did hear maybe for City Development Director, Mr. Bowers, can you speak to a little bit the actual movement of properties in the city of Racine at this point this year?
So far this year, we continue to monitor, thank you for the opportunity. We continue to monitor sales of properties within the city, and actually they have continued to sell and turn over. We're not seeing vacancies at any higher rate than we had previously. And I think the question asked, can it still be a municipality of choice? For many people, it actually is. There are other things that offset that. There are services that Racine has that maybe other municipalities don't provide. There is certain quality of life. We know that crime had been trending down. We have, lakefront, the river. We have full municipality services. So I think there are other things to be considered. Statistically, we're not seeing the departure in property purchases and value. I'm not sure how to measure, whether people are coming and going, but the statistics we're seeing are stable. Best I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing.
All right. So that is all the public feedback we received. I'll give the alders a moment if anyone has any comments themselves as members of the public that you want to speak on the budget at this point. Otherwise, we've exhausted our agenda and we will close this public hearing. Any comments from alders? Any comments from alders? No further comments. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. And that exhausts our agenda for today. We will meet again on Wednesday. Please take into consideration.
Thursday.
Thursday? Okay.
It'll be Thursday, and just if I could, amendments, if alders would choose
By Wednesday.
to write amendments, if they could please write those and email them to me by 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. And if you could just leave a phone number with that email that I can easily contact you in case I have questions as to what how that amendment reads, that would be fantastic.
All right. So,
I have a question for Kathleen when you have a chance.
Alder Charles, go ahead.
My question is, if we are writing budgets that have a fiscal impact, we are supposed to, in that amendment, define how we would deal with that fiscal impact, right, in order to be seriously considered?
You are correct.
Okay.
So theoretically, if you are putting something back in, you need to be taking something else out, is generally how it goes. We cannot raise the tax levy. So that's why I ask for them a little bit early so that I can have that conversation with the alder to say, how are you going to fund this item that you're attempting to put back in, if that would be the case.
So to repeat, alders, fellow colleagues, please submit any budget amendments that you have by 3 p.m. on Wednesday so that we can discuss them on Thursday. I scheduled this, our committee of the whole meetings with intentionality so that we'd have a week to digest, as well as our citizenry a week to digest the proposals and presentation last Monday, and then we'd have several days as alders to digest the comments from the public and informing our potential amendments. So again, we have over 24 hours between now and Wednesday at 3 o'clock to submit potential amendments for the budget, which we will then debate and deliberate on Thursday as we move to finalize our budget proposal for 2021. So with that being said, Alder Peterson, I see you got a hand up.
Yes, quick question on the handbook changes. Would that be, if you want to make a change to the handbook, would that be considered something that is budgetary, or there's a couple changes in the handbook? Is that something, if I choose to make a recommendation for a change in the handbook, is that something that needs to be accounted for financially, or is that strictly a handbook change?
If I may. So depending on what the amendment is, in most cases, that would just be a narrative amendment and not necessarily have a fiscal impact. But I would like to see it first just to make sure that it doesn't have a fiscal impact. But in most cases, that would just be a narrative amendment.
Anything else, Alder Peterson?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Excellent question, good clarification. I know some alders have other thoughts in terms of potential amendments around some of the handbook changes. I see no other hands, so if there are no other commentary or question in terms of as we prepare for developing and presenting amendments for this Thursday. We have exhausted our agenda for today, and we are adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight.
Yep, just put that.